did other courses in media and different things. And she's driving her own car. She works for a charity called Cedar Foundation. She's employed by them, and she goes round to different towns in the province that have a medical centre and sees to the needs of the disabled, sees that there's a social network for them, that they have all their needs, whatever, for that. She's involved in the media, in the church, and in the church she goes to, a massive church, for an ongoing church, and she's a great help to them. She has a blog, and if anyone wants to get it, we'll give you her address. She's writing small vignettes on the website now, and some of them are so profound that she's writing. She just told us last week or the week before that God has spoken to her about writing a book. And it's not about her disability. It's a book just about how she's found her walk in God and how to go through the different times and seasons in life with God. And she's a heart for that. So if anybody wants her address, the web address, just to look up, you'll see the little vignettes that she's writing at the moment. And she's been such a blessing to us. But can I say, just in case there's anyone here who hasn't ever asked the Lord Jesus into their heart, that the greatest miracle that ever happened to our little girl was when she was at 6, and she climbed up onto my knee. She was crawling across the floor. She just put her bottom across the floor, which had the calipers on, and she came up and she said to me, I want to ask the Lord Jesus into my heart. And that was the greatest miracle, because I knew that with a twisted body she would still get to heaven, and with a mind that maybe wouldn't have functioned properly, she still would have been in heaven. But the only thing that would ever have kept her out of heaven, taken her to a lost eternity, would have been had she not settled the matter of her soul's salvation. And that was a wonderful thing to us. And sometimes she'll say to me, Mama, I don't believe I've gone the short straw in life. And she's such a